Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie.
Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown and Dunkirk, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. For more information on how the CCIDA can assist your business, visit choosechq.com.
From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives, to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives.
Is getting vaccinated on your to-do list? We can help you check it off, because we make getting vaccinated easy. You've got this, because we've got you. To learn more, visit yougotthis.usaging.org.
From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hello everyone, I'm Doc Hamels and welcome back to another episode of Chautauqua Sunrise. Well, quite an interesting morning to start the weekend. Randy's my cameraman today.
Not raining.
It's not raining, yeah, well. It's Memorial Day weekend, it's more like Veterans Day weekend. Fortunately, I've been a guest speaker for both events, and usually Veterans Day, you got a heavy jacket, it's raining and it's cold, and Memorial Day, usually you can walk around in your sport coat or whatever, and you're not sloshing around in boots, and oh wow. Hi everybody, good morning, wherever you are in the world. We're streaming throughout Europe and into Africa now, and I want to say good morning to my friends down in Kenya. Karen Cockram is down there. And Randy, I don't know if you know this or not, but we are the #1 public access show watched in Kenya from Chautauqua County. Did you know that? Yeah, we're #1, the only one. Anyways, Natalia, over in Ukraine, good morning. Please be safe. I know things are heating up again. I'm hoping, like everyone else, that there's a resolution in the very, very, very near future. We watch things on the news, and I think of all of you all the time, so I hope you're safe. Let's see. I want to say good afternoon for those that are watching in Africa, in Europe, friends and family in the Netherlands, over in Belgium. I know we have folks down in Kenya, like I mentioned. Sometimes we have people over even down into Indonesia, and of course across the United States. Want to say good afternoon to my listeners on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people, Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. Thanks for checking in. You might say, oh, what are you going to talk about today? Well, we're going to be talking about the wonderful support and advocacy of the Chautauqua County Veteran Services. And I've got Greg Carlson here once again. I think this is his 90th visit with us. It's like he's part of the team here. And every time we have Greg on or some of the staff from there, you learn something new that is important to the lives of families. I say families because sometimes we focus on the veteran, but it's also the families of the veteran and the types of services that are available. So we're going to get deep into that. So if you know of anybody that's a veteran or a part of a veteran family and you want to watch this again, remember, we're on Spectrum 1301 twice a day at 2 and 8. And also we are on Facebook right now, obviously, but you can watch it for at least another month. I think they're taking things down after a month, but then of course we're on YouTube forever and ever as long as YouTube is around. So I like to think of these shows as a reference library for you to go back and listen, because I do the same thing. I say, well, what did they say about whatever? And I go back and find phone numbers or whatever. Speaking of phone numbers, throughout the show, if you have a question for myself or Greg, your club or organization is having an event, like we did the Kentucky Derby for the Lions Club not too long ago, 716-753-5225. 716-753-5225. Give us a call. We're glad to hear from you. And also throughout the week, if you have a question, comment, something you want us to know about, you can send it to chautauquasunrise@gmail.com and we'll get it on the air for you. Okay, so Greg always points out to me that Memorial Day is not the same as Veterans Day. Today, we're going to be talking about veterans, but Memorial Day is for the veterans that have passed, all right? And I want to share a little story with you, is that I did not realize that my grandfather, that would be my mother's dad, was a veteran. I found out this last year or so, and you might say, what are you talking about? Well, I never met my grandfather. He died like 7 years before I was even born. But I was going through some photos that were in my parents' estate not too long ago, and I see a picture of this gentleman that looked exactly like my cousin. And he had one of those wide rim like ranger hats and a uniform and like I don't even know what you call those things that come up to your knee, like they cover your leg and over your boot. There's a term for that, I don't know what it is. Anyways, I'm looking and he's got a cigarette in his, and he's with a bunch of other guys. I go, that's gotta be somebody related to my grandfather. Long story short, I had a friend of mine check the records, and sure enough, he was in World War I, but never went overseas. He was 6 months stateside and then was released, but or whatever you call that, discharged. There we go. I come up with my own military terms there. Anyways, so my grandfather was a veteran, and so I think of him today, even though I never met him. My dad, he served in Europe for a number of years. He was in the Army Air Force, and that was all one at the time. My father-in-law, who just passed away not long ago, Bill Molson, he was in the Philippines. And so we lost them over the years now, and so we try to remember them in our family as well. And then the ones that are still with us, we will celebrate them on Veterans Day. So anyways, lots of things going on this weekend. We're going to get to them here shortly. I know that it's kind of wet out there, but think about this. Last year, we were in a drought. A lot of people didn't realize that. It was, especially early on, you thought, well, it's just dry. No, last year we were like in one of the second or third driest summers on record, and now we're sort of responding to that. So hopefully we get everything filled back up, and then we have a nice summer. I don't know, we'll see. Sunday and Monday look pretty good. So it looks like we should have some nice weather for parties and get-togethers, and of course, visiting various parades and cemeteries and remembering those that served our country faithfully and in many cases may have perished during the war. I don't know. But so let's have a nice weekend and keep that in mind. Although I did see later in the week, next week, it's supposed to rain again. Let's see. Also want to welcome back all those of you that are watching that aren't regular residents here in Chautauqua County. This is what they say, the unofficial start of summer vacation, summer time. And we just love having everybody back from wherever you are throughout the country. Many people have cottages here and second homes. And Chautauqua County is just a great place to be, and lots to offer. So welcome back, and I hope that you check in with us throughout the summer here on Access Chautauqua 1301 on Spectrum, because we're going to be talking about all kinds of nice things and fun things throughout the summer, and love to hear from you. Let's see. I have some announcements to get to, and then we'll get to my guest that's waiting. So here we go, Jeff, slide 15. Okay, this is at the Reg Linné Center for the Arts. Okay, some new movies. This is going to be shown on May 28th, coming up. It's a Wednesday, The Ballad of Wallace. Okay. It's going to be shown at 7 p.m. May 28th. Follows Charles, played by Tim Key, an eccentric lottery winner who lives alone on a remote island and dreams of getting his favorite musician, McGuire Mortimer. I don't make this stuff up, I just read it. I don't know who McGuire Mortimer is. Played by Tom Baston and Carey Mulligan. He wants to get them back together. His fantasy turns into reality when the bandmates and former lovers accept his invitation to play a private show at his home on Wallace Island. Old tensions resurface as Charles tries desperately to salvage his dream gig. The Ballad of Wallace Island is rated PG-13. Sounds like fun. All right, then I do the best I can pronounce some of these things. The Legend of Ochi, Friday, May 30th, 7 p.m., is a new fantasy adventure film from A24. Don't know what that means. Maybe it's a film company. In a remote village on the island of Carpathia, a shy farm girl named Yuri is raised to fear an elusive animal species known as Ochi. But when Yuri discovers a wounded baby Ochi has been left behind, she escapes on a quest to bring him home. The Legend of Ochi is rated PG and is 95 minutes long. So that sounds kind of like fun. Could be fun for the kids. Okay, upcoming movies at the Reg includes the Jamestown Pride Week showing of the 2014 historical film Pride. That's going to be on June 4 at 7 p.m. Michael B. Jordan as twin brothers in Ryan Coogler's supernatural horror film called Sinners, June 25th at 7 p.m. And Jack Black, one of my favorites, with Jason Momoa in the video game adaptation Minecraft movie, June 28th. My grandson went to see it, and he gave it a thumbs up. He liked it, so it's a fun movie. All right, tickets are generally $8 in person, $10 at the box office. If you want to give them a call at 716-484-7070, 484-7070, they can tell you what's going on and prices and so forth. All right, something else that's coming up at the Reg. This is kind of fun. All right, this is Bill Blagg Family Magic, coming to the Reg Linné Center for the Arts this summer. Mesmerizing performer Bill Blagg will perform his new show called Family Magic to this at the Reg Linné on, this is mark your calendar kind of thing, but it's going to be here before you know it, Saturday, July 12th at 4 p.m. Okay, this is what it's all about. Family Magic is a testament to Blagg's unparalleled artistry and showmanship, designed to engage and entertain audiences of all ages. This spellbinding performance combines audience interaction, comedy, and an incredible visual magic to create an unforgettable magic experience for all ages. He not only amazes with his incredible magical feats, but also pays homage to his great-grandfather in the books that changed his life. His goal is not to only entertain and amaze, but also to inspire others just as he was inspired. From a young age, he was drawn to the art of magic and embarked on a journey to become one of the most captivating touring magicians and illusionists of our time. Bill's life work took a magical turn when he received 3 treasured books from his great-grandfather. These books, known as the Harlan Tarbell Course in Magic, would forever change the course of his life. Filled with secrets, techniques, and the wonders of magic, these books became Bill's gateway into a world of enchantment and mystery. Wow. Tickets for this are $12 for children age 12 and under and $22 for adults. They're on sale at the Reg Linné Center for the Arts box office. And again, 484-7070. Sounds like fun. Mark your calendar, July 12th. I suggest if you're interested, get tickets ahead of time because a lot of times these things fill up fast. Bill Blagg Family Magic. All right, moving along. This is kind of an interesting next one that's coming up. This is kind of a new group that's been formed, and I've been kind of watching them over time. It's called the CHQ Professionals Group, okay, and they're hosting coffee events provided these kind of events provide local professionals with the opportunity to network while supporting local businesses. Okay, this group called the CHQ Professionals Group is inviting local professionals from across Chautauqua County to attend one of its upcoming coffee meetup events with 3 different events scheduled at various businesses in the North County. These events are free and open to everybody, providing an inclusive space for attendees to network, exchange ideas, and strengthen community ties in a relaxed, casual setting. Okay, and these are the dates. June 5, Sacred Grounds Coffee House in Lilydale. July 10th, it's St. Stephen's Cafe in Brockton, New York. August 7th, Full Strength Coffee Company right down the road in Westfield, New York. All of the meetups will take place from 8 to 9:30 in the morning a.m. and all area professionals are invited to attend one or more of these dates to network and share information. Okay, and let's see, I just have a little quote here. Says, this is from Monica Simpson, co-chair. Says, these coffee meetups are a simple but powerful way to connect people. Whether you're new to the area or have lived here all your life, it's a chance to build relationships, share ideas, and feel more rooted in the Chautauqua County community. For more information, give them a call at 716-363-3770. 363-3770. Now, I'm not part of this group, but I'm part of the Chautauqua County, let's see, what do we call it? Leadership Network, CLN, and Chautauqua Leadership Network, and for over 25 years. And whenever I get together with folks over the years, we sit down and talk about things. What are you doing? You know, what's happening in your part of the county? And it breaks down the north, south, east, west kind of thing. It's everybody's in this together, and these organizations can be really good. So check it out. All right, coming up. Lots of things happening this weekend, and so I want to give you some of the rundowns on this. So I know we have a slide on this one. Dunkirk's Memorial Day activities. Okay, here we go. The City of Dunkirk's Festivals and Special Events Department are proud to announce the annual Memorial Day Parade in downtown Dunkirk on Monday, May 26th. The parade is sponsored by the Chautauqua Nursing and Rehab Center, Refresco Central Station Restaurant, Northern Chautauqua County Catholic School, and Dunkirk Memorial Post 62. The day will begin with a memorial service at 8:30 a.m. at the Dunkirk Lighthouse presented by the Knights of Columbus, and at 10 a.m. memorial service at Memorial Park directed by the Dunkirk Joint Veterans Council. The Memorial Day services will be conducted by the participating organizations of the Dunkirk Joint Veterans Council under the direction of Mr. Jack Sievert, Commander, with Master of Ceremonies John DiAgostino, Editor of the Observer, the Post-Journal, and the Times Observer. The Memorial Day Parade will begin at approximately 11 a.m., directly following the Memorial Day service. The parade route proceeds east on Lakeshore Drive West, the Central Avenue, right on Central Avenue, proceed to Fifth Avenue, and so on. And, well, most of you know what it's all about, and so that's coming up to Monday, 26, 11 o'clock, and all sorts of things. So check it out. Then, let's see. Then we have some more announcements here. I'm going to make sure I've got this right. Okay, changing up things here. This is interesting because as town historian, I'm always interested to share these kinds of things. Right here in Mayville, the Mayville Depot Historical Museum is having their second annual grand opening the Saturday, May 24th. That's today, from 1 to 5 p.m., right there at 16 Water Street in Mayville. Their season runs from Memorial Day to Labor Day, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. They'll also be celebrating the centennial of the depot. The old depot burned down May 24th in 1923 and was built in 1925. Last year they had such an event, and it was a great success. There were 90 visitors and so forth. So if you're interested, go on down to the old railroad depot and check out their new kiosk. There's lots of information they're sharing there, and well, it's just part of our history here in Chautauqua County. So again, right over there at the Mayville Depot today at 1 o'clock till 5, and then throughout the rest of the summer, check it out. Then Jamestown, New York has a parade, another parade. The annual Jamestown Memorial Parade will take place on Monday, May 26th. This year's parade is hosted by the City of Jamestown, the Blue Star Mothers, Lake Erie, New York, number 4, and Collaborative Children's Solutions. The parade participants will gather at Baker Street on Baker Park on 4th Street in Jamestown, beginning at 9 a.m. For the step off to the parade at 10 a.m. This is a day of honor and remembrance, so no candy throwing and offensive music will be permitted. Good. The parade begins at 4th in Washington, travels down 4th, and so forth, and ends up at the Lakeview Avenue and ends at the Lakeview Avenue and Buffalo Street. Those attending the ceremony hosted by the Blue Star Mothers in Soldiers Circle will enter Lakeview Cemetery at the Lakeview Avenue entrance, and those not attending the ceremony will turn left at the end of the route on Buffalo Street and disassemble their floats and so forth. So that's going to be in Jamestown starting at 10. And then, let's see. One last announcement that we don't have here is that next Sunday, June 1, it seems hard to believe we're already in June, I will be in charge in conducting an unveiling of a very special historical marker in front of the Ripley Public Library commemorating the 200th anniversary of General Lafayette starting his tour as our nation's guest. He entered Ripley on June 3rd, 1825, and started his tour of New York. And he went all the way up through into Buffalo and across. It's like following the thruway, sort of. It ended up, I think, down in New York City. But he was invited to come as the guest of our country and as a celebrated guest, and in remembrance of the fact that he was a Revolutionary War hero. And there's celebrations all across Chautauqua County coming up that week, and Ripley is the kickoff. We were the first ones that he met at the state line that were in New York State, and he traveled up to Westfield and Dunkirk and Fredonia and off to Buffalo and so on. So anyways, and Chris Carrozza, who you have seen on this show, will be my guest speaker, and we're going to talk a little bit about that event. So June 1, 2 o'clock, Sunday, Ripley Public Library. We're going to take a little break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
I am a veteran. My victory was finding the strength to be a champion.
My victory is having a job I can be proud of.
At DAV, we help veterans get the benefits they've earned.
My victory was finishing my education.
My victory was getting help to put our lives back together.
DAV provides veterans with a lifetime of support.
My victory is being there for my family.
Help us support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
That's a great ad and very timely. All right, welcome back to the show again, Greg. Greg Carlson, who is the executive director. I call you executive director. You're the boss man at Chautauqua County Veteran Services. I think I have that right.
Correct. Yep.
Everybody's got all these titles. I always get the Health Department and the Department of Health backwards. So anyways, but you guys I got right this time. Greg, thank you for all that you do for our veterans. I'm telling you that up front because, and we'll get into it, but you know, you guys do well by our veterans, and so thank you. So for those that are tuning in or are new to the show or new to they're coming back, what do you all do?
So we, as the Chautauqua County Veteran Service Agency, we advocate and represent veterans and eligible beneficiaries, so family members who would be eligible for benefits, in receiving tangible Department of Veterans Affairs benefits. So when I say tangible benefits, I'm talking about access to VA health care, disability compensation if you had an injury or illness related to service, and then something called non-service connected pension. Typically that is for older veterans who served during a war era who require assistance with the tasks of daily living and their surviving spouses. So that's our primary focus. Also, indirectly, to the best of our ability, even though it's not our specialty, we help veterans with other issues as well. So every once in a while we'll have a veteran who has a need that's not directly related to benefits. We'll do our best to help them. Unfortunately, that's not our area of expertise, but we will at least usually try.
Okay, we're going to do a little technical thing. If you could take your microphone and put it up just a little bit higher, what I'm hearing is a lot of scratching in my earpiece. So just up in there. There we go. So one of the things, thank you. One of the things that I always point out, and we talk about this every time, and I think it's important, you're not the VA.
No, we are not the VA. We are civil servants. We work for Chautauqua County. The Chautauqua County taxpayers pay our salary so that we represent them. So unlike an attorney, when we file your claim, there's nothing there. Well, of course, there's something in it for us in that we get a paycheck from the county, but we're representing the veteran. If the veteran were to move on to another service officer, it's not like with an attorney where there still may be a charge. There have been times where we have helped a veteran with a claim, but because they had worked with an attorney before, the attorney, the way it's written in the retainer, still gets a portion of their compensation check when it's awarded. So that does happen. We don't do that. We are civil servants here for the residents of Chautauqua County.
And well served, I might add. How many are you, and where are you?
So right now, there are 4 of us, soon to be 5 again. So we have an office in Jamestown, and that is, actually it's in West Ellicott.
Yes, that's
right.
right.
I was just going to say. So Jamestown address, but it's on Fairmount Avenue in the Warwick Plaza. We're right across the street from Tanglewood Manor. We're right next door to Spectrum Eye Care. And then we have the Dunkirk office, which is co-located with the Dunkirk Clinic.
Okay.
Big news there. So Dave Adams retired.
Right.
And the replacement has been identified. Her name is Lori Dispenza.
Oh, I know Lori. She's been on the show.
Oh, absolutely. She's fantastic. It was just an absolute blessing to be able to rehire her as a service officer.
She was on the show, oh gosh, 10 years ago or so.
And Dunkirk, and she was so good at her job in Dunkirk that the state stole her away from us. But now she's at a different time in her life where she wants to be closer to home, and she has a young daughter who's in school, and so she's like, hey, it's time to come back to the county. So when she heard about the opening, the magic happened.
Awesome.
And she's going to be coming back to us. And what's really nice about that is you have a seasoned, experienced service officer stepping into the role. So once we kind of get her through the orientation and everything, the mandatory
what's
stuff,
new kind of stuff,
the what's new kind of stuff, she's going to be graduate PhD level service officer day one. So,
good. Excellent.
So that's fantastic. The other big news is that the original PFC Dwyer program coordinator, Cindy Reedy, is sadly retiring.
I got an email the other day on that, and I couldn't believe it.
She is retiring on May 30th officially.
Wow.
We have some retirement festivities going on for Cindy today. Huge loss.
Huge.
There's no replacing her.
Right.
So actually, and that's the second part of the news, is we're not going to try to replace her. We're going to fall in line with the rest of the state, and we are going to contract out the PFC Dwyer program. Now, with that being said, part of the request for proposal is that it looks very similar to what we're doing now. So in the description that was put out by the Department of Mental Hygiene, it's going to have 90% of the elements and services that we have now. It's never going to be exactly the same, but it's going to look very similar. And the proposals are due June 10th, and then July 1st, a new contract will be in place. So there's going to be about a month of downtime, but it's not complete downtime. Cindy is training me up as best as she can. So the routine things that we do weekly, I will be, when I say I'm running it, they'll basically be running me. They know what to do.
Yeah.
I will
Stay
just
out of
be
their
there.
way.
Yeah, I will just be there for the veteran coffee hours and to make sure that the normal meet and greet things that they have on a weekly basis, but all the big projects, the stuff that only Cindy can do, that won't pick up again till July 1st.
What kind of organization would even apply? You don't have to name anybody, but I mean, who gets contracted to do this?
Now, I don't know what the legalese are for saying different names, but basically non-for-profit who have some expertise in the mental health field, directly or indirectly.
Okay.
So,
I could be wrong, but I think Cindy was on the job for like a month when she was on the show.
That sounds correct.
I think you even introduced her, and it was so new that it was just the very beginning. So that was in 2017.
She is
I think.
the PFC Dwyer program for Chautauqua County. And that's not to take anything away from the veterans who do it.
Yeah.
She had nothing when she started.
Yeah.
There was nothing set, and it's been an incredibly successful program. Tons of people attend. Lots of lives have been positively affected directly because of her. And that's what's really difficult is she logged a lot of hours that were not claimed on her pay. And I'm not saying that's the right thing to do because we told her not to do that, but that's just who Cindy was. So trying to write a job description of somebody who's going to do all the things that Cindy does, and that was take calls morning, noon, and night, and all of the extra stuff that she did. She's not replaceable in that way, but the PFC Dwyer program, as it is now, will look very similar moving forward.
I kind of chuckled when you were talking about her because, I don't know, she was on the show maybe a couple years later, and she said they were having all these events, and I said, well, put me on the mailing list. And she looked at me and she goes, are you sure? And I said, why? She goes, I put out a lot of emails. So I thought, what the heck, how many? Yeah. Yep. I mean, I would say almost like 3-4 times a week, I get, an email, and you might say, well, what's it all about? Coffee hours at all the different places, support groups, Dungeons and Dragon groups,
bowling,
the what they call a ball. She had a ball every year. Just the other day, it was something as simple as there's a medical bed available. Does anybody need one?
A refrigerator, furniture. Someone needs to move.
Unbelievable. And I thought this is such a gift to our community. And I think you've said it time and time again. If you're a veteran and you live in Chautauqua County, you're well taken care of. I mean, there's lots of opportunity here to get services and things.
A lot of the veterans that are regular participants in the PFC Dwyer program are people that were out of the mainstream. I don't know how to say it other than to say they were out of the mainstream, and they were not comfortable, let's say, going and looking for VA benefits. They were not comfortable in social settings, and all of a sudden, these people start coming out of their shells. And I can't tell you the number of people who started by, yep, I'll come to a coffee hour.
Sure.
Okay, I'll come to a dinner. I'll do this sort of thing. And then within a few months, they're in our office, finally seeking out the benefits that they should have been seeking out. And when I say should have, I don't mean that as a prerogative toward them, but they finally felt comfortable enough to come out and start taking advantage of all the things that were there. But we're really, really sad to see Cindy go. It was tough because she had her coffee hour, and I was there with her this last week. And I felt a little bit like I was in front of the firing squad because you have a lot of veterans who are
you get rid of her.
Very passionate about Cindy and Cindy retiring. And the one thing I tried to express to them is just that to me, she is irreplaceable. Now, the PFC Dwyer program will go on, and a new person will step in, and they'll do a great job, and they'll have their own thing. But I tried to tell people, unless you want Cindy to work until she's 100, she's got to be allowed to retire. She did such a wonderful job for the last 8-9 years now.
2017.
Yeah. 8 years. Yeah.
All right, because I saw it on the email.
The years just fly by, so it's like 8 years, 5 years. I can't remember.
Going right along with what you just said, I'm guessing maybe you've met Jeff Winton from World Minds. Well, and this all makes sense in a minute. If you haven't, Jeff has been on the show, and we've talked about rural minds and being in the sense that people that live in rural America, and Chautauqua County is like 90% rural. A lot of folks are veterans when they are discharged for whatever reasons. They seem to kind of go into the background. They kind of are maybe on farms or out in the rural area, and some of them have some mental health issues, and they don't do anything about it, and they get in trouble. And so I promised Jeff, whenever I can, there's a phone number that if a veteran right now is listening and they're in this situation where they feel they need help, dial 988. 988, 24/7. There's somebody, a professional that's listening, because Jeff identified veterans in their organization that in rural America, this is a group one of the subsets of folks that live in rural America that have issues. Have you seen this at all?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And Cindy,
PTSD type things and things like that.
Cindy is an expert. Or I would say her, everybody has gifts. Her gift was the ability to relate to empathize with, and to serve maybe people that have social anxiety or social awkwardness, that struggle from mental health issues, that don't feel comfortable in the typical American Legion VFW setting. Hey, I love the American Legion VFW in no way, but that's not the right setting for everyone. And she was great at reaching those people. Absolutely fantastic at it.
One of the things that you and I think, do a really good job of is we explain to veterans that are watching right now, there's what, 10,000 in Chautauqua?
We'll call it 10,000 plus or minus. Right.
All right, about 10,000 veterans that live in Chautauqua County. And a whole bunch of y'all that are watching, or you know who they are, never ever touch base with the VA or Veteran Services in Chautauqua County. Why?
For a couple of reasons. One, what I've noticed is people who are gainfully employed and have good insurance feel that by seeking out VA benefits, they're somehow stealing from someone who needs it. Of course, that's not the case. Enrollment is based upon the number of veterans who are enrolled, not how frequently they use the VA healthcare system. So somebody who's a healthy working person who has good insurance, who just used the VA once a year to get their physical, where they go in for 20 minutes, doc says you look great,
Yep. See
and
you
leaves,
next year.
helps those guys who go 7, 8, 9 times a year because they have health issues, because they do the manning based on the number of enrolled veterans. So if you're eligible and you enroll, you're helping, you're not taking away from anybody, you're helping them, because the manning at the, like for example, the manning at the Jamestown community-based outpatient clinic went from 2 providers, right? So a doctor and a full-time nurse practitioner, to 1.6, a doctor and a part-time nurse practitioner, based on the number of enrolled veterans. So that's why I say, if you are eligible for benefits, you're not taking anything from anyone, come out and get them. Also, you do not want to wait until you need it, because as you've learned throughout the years,
we're going to talk about that here.
Is not always expeditious. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the time it works a certain way, 20% of the time it doesn't. And in that 20% of the time it doesn't, you don't want to be sick in a hospital, in a bed, in a nursing home, whatever. You want to have those VA benefits set up so that when you get to that point, it's boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom. And then I want to dispel another myth that you are working on right now, and it follows right along. And my mother, she always said to me, no matter what you do, do not allow Dad to get involved with the VA. And I would look at her and go, why? Because he's got insurance, and his insurance is better than the VA insurance, and you and I worked that through. There's no such thing as VA insurance. That's better.
Right, yep.
It's benefits. It has nothing to do with your insurance. So if you are retired from the railroad, the whatever company, school systems, whatever, this has nothing to do with it. It doesn't replace it. You keep your insurance. And my dad could have gotten those certain benefits, now that I look back, like aid in attendance, that if we had done what y'all have taught me over the years, it's too late now, but my mom was wrong. And I want to point that out. And
the Department of Veterans Affairs Healthcare, it is a provider, it's not an insurance. So it's a provider, not an insurance. Although it does meet the requirements for the Affordable Care Act as credible coverage. So you have veterans who are there enrolled in VA healthcare and they don't use anything else, and that meets that requirement. So even though that requirement is met, they're mutually exclusive. It's funny, before the show started, we talked about weird things and loopholes that happen. So sometimes, by being enrolled in VA healthcare, you can accidentally double dip. Here's something that happened to a veteran, and he checked with me to see if it was correct, and I checked to see if it was correct. So he had private insurance and a high deductible plan.
Okay.
He uses the VA primarily for his health care. He has a Service Connect disability, so there's no copay for his treatment. With that being said, the Department of Veterans Affairs, in an attempt to sometimes recoup some of their some of the money that they spend on the health care will charge the private health insurance, right? So he goes to the VA, he gets something done, and the VA sends the bill to his insurance company. The insurance company denies it. However, they deducted the cost from his deductible.
Oh.
So he goes, and then the VA didn't charge him because he has a service-connected disability. So we checked it. It's just a weird thing where the way the law is written that, hey, if they said it was going to be $800 for this procedure and you have a $5,000 deductible and your insurance company says no, by law, they deduct that $800. So he paid no money but had part of his deductible removed. It's a weird thing that now I'm not saying that happens for everybody. What I'm saying is it's a weird thing that I came across recently, and we were both miffed, and him being the good citizen he was like, I don't think this is right. And we did some research, and sure enough, it was right. So my whole point there is don't be afraid of VA healthcare, even if you have good private insurance. And if you're a guy who goes in once a year and you're healthy and you get your physical once a year just to let the VA know you're still a part of the team, you're helping all the other veterans who enroll.
I just got a question through my earpiece, and I'm not sure what the question is exactly, but something about veterans cards. Are there veterans cards?
Oh, this is one of my favorite.
Oh,
or
okay.
not favorite.
I guess I got it right.
One of my favorite or not favorite topics. So the card that everybody covets is the one that you get if you're eligible for VA healthcare. So it's the VA card. People who are enrolled in VA healthcare get this card. It's what they use to check in at the kiosk when they go to their appointments. But it's also what they use for discounts in different places.
Oh, that card. Okay.
Now,
Yes.
Now, despite all of the advertisements, the only way to get that particular card is to enroll in VA healthcare.
Okay.
Now, with that being said, there's all kinds of different, like, for example, in Chautauqua County, we have the Return the Favor card, which is a completely different thing. So as an incentive for recording your discharge paper with the county clerk's office, they will give you a Return the Favor card. It looks like a little ID card, and it's patriotic, and it's got your picture and, red, white, and blue. But there are participating businesses in the area. I don't have them off the top of my head, but probably 30 or 40 local businesses that if you present that card, will give you a 10%, 15%, 20% discount. Now, this is not through the federal government. This is a local county thing. But generally speaking, the card that everybody refers to is the card that you get when you enroll in VA healthcare. Now, the VA has at times advertised you can get the card by other means. The Bear and I, Mike and I have tried to do it the other way, and there's some sort of good luck getting it unless you're enrolled in VA healthcare.
Okay. You hit on something. You've got me so well trained. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
And I come across this as town historian, and you'll know what I'm talking about. So I'll get this request, and it'll say, do you have let me see if I got this right, DD-214?
Yep.
Okay? Which is somebody's discharge papers. And I go, why would I have that? Well, because we signed up for something that's going on locally for in the town of Ripley for those banners, those veteran banners. And I go, well, no, I don't have that. Well, don't you have that? No, we can't find it anywhere. I said, did you register it at the county clerk's office? And then there's this silence and crickets you can hear in the background. So tell people why they should do this.
Well, if like anything else, if you record it with the county clerk's office, there's a permanent record moving forward. It's not only great for historians like yourself, because a lot of times I'll get calls, requests, hey, how many veterans did we have that served during this period? Well, if you have that information recorded with the county, that's much easier to track down. But even more importantly, let's say you have a veteran who gets discharged and their county residents, but say they move 3 times. Somewhere in those moves, they lose their DD-214. Well, if it's recorded with the county, and this happens all the time, if it's recorded with the county, we can get it immediately.
Yeah.
If not, we have to go through the National Personnel Records Center, and good luck.
Good luck on that.
Good luck on that. So 80% of the time they'll respond, and it takes about 6 months to get your discharge paper. And if you want something quickly, 6 months is a long time to wait, and the DD-214 is your key to all things veterans. Everything from VA benefits to eligibility for your local Legion or your VFW is dependent upon that discharge paper.
What my mother did get right was she said to me, no matter what, do not lose or throw out this form. I think it was even green at the time, and it was my dad's.
So pre-1950, it wasn't the DD-214. The World War II era discharges are different, but we just call it a DD-214. So,
well, it was his discharge papers.
Yeah, his discharge papers.
And I remember coming across it, and I go, sure enough, because when my dad passed away, there was some funeral benefits and things.
Usually,
like
it's the bronze marker and the flag and the.
Yeah, and you give it to the mortician, undertaker, and things like that. But without that, if you haven't registered,
difficult.
So the question, the thing I'm going with is, if you know someone that's a veteran or just discharged recently, even if they're 24 years old or whatever, go register that at the county clerk's office.
Absolutely.
And get that done. Okay, I don't get into politics hardly at all here, but there's so much going on right now where programs are being cut and this and this and this. How are veteran services stacking up right now? Are they holding their own, or are they getting reduced?
So to the layperson, everything is unchanged.
Yeah.
As far as filing claims is the same. The results I've been getting back when I file claims are what they have been for the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
To the layperson, I don't see any difference. When I go to a VA healthcare facility, my service is the same.
Okay.
My VA disability compensation check is deposited on the first of every month. When I file, everything to me looks the same. So although I've seen things in the news,
right,
as it pertains to what they call mission critical. So, mission critical means different things in different avenues, but the people who process the claims and the people who provide the health care are not being cut.
Okay.
Okay. Now, of course, there's always that one person will say, oh, that's not true. This person, well, some people opt to take an early retirement. Like, I've seen things of that nature,
Right.
but generally speaking, no person in a mission critical field in the Department of Veterans Affairs is being involuntarily cut or has been involuntarily cut. And I think whatever cuts were happening are done now because all of the email traffic that we were getting on the VA side, the federal side, in February, March, April, has all but gone now. I haven't seen any new thing, nobody moving posts or positions. And as far as the county goes, we're completely, totally separate and independent.
Right,
So we're county employees. The Chautauqua County Veteran Service Agency is the same as it has been since day one.
And I think that's important for people to hear right now, because like you said, you see things on the news, they flash this and then it's gone. And you go, well, what happened, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But so what you're telling me is right now, uninterrupted service.
For
the most part.
So the Department of Veterans Affairs is always a little interrupted, but no more interrupted than usual.
Okay,
correct.
we have a phone call. Ready?
Sure.
All right, good morning, caller.
Good morning, this is Linda Spalding.
Hi, Lynn.
Good morning, Jack. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning.
It's always great to see you on the show. You always come on for Veterans Day, and thank you once again to all the veterans who have done such a wonderful job. There's great sacrifice to our country. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Good to hear your voice. I always know I'll talk to you twice a year, Memorial Day and Veterans Day.
Well, I miss seeing you. I used to have a lot of fun being able to walk into your office.
Yes, that was when we were when the Office for the Aging and the Veteran Service Agency were co-located on 3rd Street. Yep.
Yeah, that was a nice arrangement. I really liked that building. I liked it a lot. It used to be Chautauqua Opportunities.
Right.
Years ago. I worked there under that agency, and before that it was the cable company in Jamestown.
Right. I remember.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to interrupt you.
Okay.
Continue on with your information.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful weekend.
All right,
everyone.
you too. All right, enjoy
Good to
the
talk
family.
to you.
Okay, Lynn, thanks for calling.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So we were just wrapping up on that. As far as things go, we see things in the news, and they certainly pique people's interest, but that's why I said to you, I don't get into the political side. Just tell me what's happening at the local level. So right now, things are status quo.
Things are generally status quo. Very initially, there were some people who took the early retirement.
Right.
There were certain things. Like I said, the mission critical. So the people who provide the health care and the people who process the claims have not been affected directly. I've noticed if anything, I've had claims recently starting to come back that had been delayed for a long time. I think that is not a product of politics. I think that is a product of they're finally catching up with the 1 million+ new claims from the PACT Act.
Okay.
Like they finally got, okay, we're back. We've had that, that year and a half now where they've been processing those claims, and they're starting to catch up with it.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Okay, super. Well, that's good to know. And that was one of the things that was really on my mind before the show. Let's talk about a scenario that we both know, and that was my family member, where we applied for aid and attendance program. And so in a minute I'll ask you to explain that, because a lot of people don't know about that. And the fact being is that it's from a family member, a caregiver, whatever. A lot of times these services are just what you were saying. If you have the inkling that anybody needs these services, apply ASAP. Don't wait. Even if you're not eligible, still get yourself in the process, because you could be eligible, because there's paperwork to be done and things to file. So without going into any sour grapes, because it didn't turn out the way we wanted, but the point was that you helped so much and explained things so well. What is aid and attendance? Let's just do that one.
So, very simply, it is a needs-based program, criteria-based program, as opposed to the injury or illness-related service program. So, if you are a war era veteran and you require assistance with the tasks of daily living, and then the income versus your recurring monthly medical expenses are at an imbalance, then you can be eligible for money from the Department of Veterans Affairs every month to help with the cost of care.
Okay, so examples would be helping with shopping, cooking, dressing, cleaning the house.
It's medical in nature, so those things are more the secondary things, but yes. Tasks of daily living would be feeding yourself, cooking your meals,
getting you
personal
to
hygiene, getting you to appointments, all of those types of things. And here's the thing about it, and this is where I was talking about how the VA is sometimes responsive, sometimes not. It's sometimes a claim gets caught in what I call claim purgatory, where it gets bounced around, it gets spun around, and it works, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't work. And when I say when it doesn't work, usually what happens is the service member, the surviving spouse, passes before all the claim development
and that's what
is
happened.
Complete. And one of the things that I always encourage people to do, and I kind of say this from the beginning, sometimes that's life, sometimes it doesn't work out, you still apply for the benefit.
And the important thing here is, what I was getting at is apply early, because sometimes the length of someone's life is not as long as we think, and by the time things get approved, that person may have left us.
Correct.
And the kicker is you got to be alive to get the benefit.
Or you have to have a surviving spouse.
Right.
So, like, for example, so the only people I should say, who can receive a benefit after death are the unremarried surviving spouse or an adult dependent child. So if you had a child who had special needs that was still under your care, then they would be eligible
to get that benefit.
If not, the benefit dies with the veteran or the surviving spouse. In certain cases, which is very unfortunate. And I would say the 80-20 rule, 80% of the time it works out, 20% of the time for one reason or another the claim just takes a long time, and you submit and you resubmit, and then they'll ask for evidence already. And that's part of the reason that we exist as a veteran service agency, is the success rate would probably be closer to 20% if you didn't have people that understood the process and could apply and reapply.
I'm a witness to do a testimonial that you personally helped our situation, and it didn't end up in the result we wanted, but the fact was you did everything within your power. You kept me updated. We exchanged emails. I was able to scan documents to you, and on and on and on.
And I think at one point I even sent you everything I'd submitted in the timeline, because I'm like, I've submitted and that happens, unfortunately, sometimes. The claim doesn't work out, but I always encourage people to apply for the benefit.
But that's just one benefit. So here's the next thing. is if you're a veteran and you haven't really checked out your benefits package or whatever you want to call it, you've taught me that every veteran that walks through your door has a different scenario and could be eligible for things they don't even know they're eligible
Correct.
for. So why don't you go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
I'm going to talk about the big three.
Big three, here we go.
And not in depth. And the big three, VA healthcare, disability compensation, and the benefit we were talking about, which was non-service connected pension with aid and attendance. Those are the big three benefits that veterans are eligible for. For veterans who are not at the nursing home retirement age, and there are barracks lawyers out there that say, no, I know a guy. No, for the generally speaking, what you're looking at is the disability compensation. So if you had an injury or illness or exposure related to service, and you have a current chronic condition associated with that. The most common one I actually do is hearing loss. Because so many veterans who worked in field artillery, tanks, jet engine mechanics, so relatively healthy guys, but they have a hearing deficiency, and they come in, and that makes them eligible. So we file the disability, they get, say, 10%. They certainly can't live off that or retire from that, but what it does is it opens the door to VA healthcare and all the other benefits. So each veteran is different. There's local benefits like the return the favor card. There's state benefits like the alternative property tax exempt. There's so many things that go on, but the big three are VA healthcare, VA compensation or disability compensation, and non-service connected pension for the war era veterans.
We have 2.5 minutes left, so I do want to touch on, what about surviving spouses?
Surviving spouses, the same type of thing. You have the needs-based benefit for the surviving spouses of war era veterans, and then you have something called DIC, dependency and indemnity compensation. So if you have a veteran who is a disabled veteran, and that veteran dies as a consequence of a service-connected disability, so let's say they were exposed to Agent Orange, and they die of a cancer related to Agent Orange, then the spouse would be eligible for a benefit that has your income has no bearing. You could be a bazillionaire, and you're still going to get the benefit, tax-free monthly check and health care from the VA.
But they had to go through you to get that?
Well, I mean, you can file the claim directly, but we do hundreds of them a year.
Okay, so if someone's in that situation where their spouse passes, and they were a veteran, I recommend they come see you.
And if at a minimum, they would be eligible for a certificate, a marker for their stone if they wanted that, an American flag. Okay. So that's the minimum. So even if you weren't receiving any benefits, but you're an honorably discharged veteran, you pass away, you're eligible for that recognition.
Right. And my understanding with disability, you could be 10% today, but if you were to contract some other issues that were service related, that percentage goes up over time.
Yeah, and I also have people who were never service connected, whose spouses get survivor benefits. So here's an example I'll give. Camp Lejeune. Contaminated drinking water, Camp Lejeune. Veteran dies of a cancer, let's say in 2008 or 2009. Spouse goes on, they're living their life. 2015, law was passed that, hey, if you were at Camp Lejeune for 30 cumulative days during this period of time, and you have any one of these cancers, spouse brings it in, I file the claim, they're getting compensated for life, and their spouse may have never even been associated with the VA, but they died of a cancer that was related to. Well, so that's why I always say it's check it out. Check it out.
Okay. Half a minute left, some phone numbers. They can get a hold of you guys.
The Jamestown office, 716-661-8255. Dunkirk, 716-268-6030.
Okay. Greg, thanks for everything you all do, and of course your own service. You giving any talks this weekend?
Bunch of them. Gary tomorrow, and then I will be the master of ceremonies at Lakeview Cemetery on Monday.
Oh, you're the one I just talked about then.
Yes.
They didn't even list you. You're a humble man.
That's all right.
All right, folks. We're just about out of time. We do want to encourage you to have a safe weekend. Remember your veterans and their families. That's important. We sometimes forget about the family. Be safe, enjoy, and be careful. And if you're drinking, sit back in the passenger seat and let somebody else drive. Greg, Mike, Lori, thank you. Thank you for everything. Cindy Reedy, thank you for your years of service to our veterans. And we look forward to tell you about the new program as far as who's running it. Same program, new faces.
Correct.
All right. Take care. We'll see you all next weekend at the end of the month. Got one more May show. So take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.